The religion you believe is usually the one you were born into, not the one you discovered, not the one you choose yourself based on facts, based on truth, but the one you inherited. Which means geography decides belief rather than the truth, which is quite unsettling. Because if you think about it, a child is born somewhere in the world, and within a few years, their entire spiritual identity is already decided: Hindu, Muslim, Christian, something else. And that label becomes the part of who they are, and they have to bear that label throughout their lives in ignorance. But the child didn't search for that belief. They didn't examine all religions and choose the most convincing one. They simply grew up inside it. And over time, it begins to feel obvious, natural, true. Most people never really question it throughout their lives. They just perform the rituals that they were told to, without understanding what are they and what do they imply. They repeat the prayers, they celebrate the festivals without understanding their significance, the meaning behind them. And very rarely do they stop and ask something very simple: what exactly am I doing? And why am I doing? A lot of religious practices become completely automatic, completely mechanical. They go to temple, light the lamp, say the prayer, and somewhere in the back of their mind there is a hope. Maybe this will help. Maybe the things will go my way. Maybe the God will take care of my problems. And the ironic part is that they don't even know what does God mean. They have just created an image of the God without understanding its true nature. And without noticing all of this, spirituality starts to look like a transaction, a little transaction. I'll do this ritual, hopefully, the universe will take care of me. But is that devotion? Or is it just fear trying to feel safe, trying to feel comfortable? Because life is uncertain. We don't know what will happen after death. We don't know why suffering exists. We don't know what tomorrow will look like. And the human mind is very uncomfortable with not knowing. So we build beliefs to give that ignorance or not knowing a structure. We try to give that uncertainty a structure which is made by us humans, not the truth, but humans. And I'll tell you an irony in all of this. When you look at the origins of many religions, an interesting pattern appears. The people who started these traditions, the people who started religions, were saying very different from what it looks like right now. Jesus never built a church. He never wrote a single word. Everything we call Christianity was later organized and written by people, sometimes decades after he died. The Buddha said something very direct. He said, "Don't worship me, don't turn this into a ritual. Look at your own mind, understand the suffering directly." But humans did what they tend to do. They built statues, temples, ceremonies, and whatnot. Exactly the kind of thing he warned against. Even the Upanishads, which are often considered the philosophical heart behind the Hindu thought. Upanishads ask very radical questions. What is the self? What is consciousness? Is there actually any separation between you and the universe? These all are philosophical investigations. There is no space for belief here. This is pure philosophy, pure spirituality. But if you walk into many temples today, the kind of questioning is almost absent, and people are busy doing the rituals which were told to them. And if you read the Quran carefully, many scholars say it has deep reflections on the nature of justice, responsibility, and the nature of divine. But in practice, religion often becomes simplified into rules that people follow without actually thinking about them, which leads to a slightly uncomfortable possibility. Maybe the problem isn't religion itself. Maybe the problem is humans. Maybe the problem is us, the ego within us. Human beings have a strange habit of taking subtle and profound ideas and turning them into identities, into institutions, into systems of authority. And underneath all of these identities, humans are not very different. A child in India laughs the same way as a child in America. They cry in the same way, they feel loneliness, fear, hope. The same human consciousness is moving across different cultures, which makes you wonder about something. Before we learn religion, before we learn nationality, before we learn ideology, what are we? Just a human being experiencing life. Maybe unity is the natural state and division is something we learn later. If a human being could look at life without inherited beliefs, without conditioning, without fear, what would they actually discover about truth? Would it still look like a religion as we know it, or would it be something completely different?